Yep. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good evening. I will call this meeting of the Woodford County Fiscal Court to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Squire Taylor.
Here.
Squire Gentry.
Here.
Squire Varner.
Here.
Squire Carl. Squire Downey. Squire Blackford.
Present.
Squire Gill.
Here.
Squire Brown.
Here. Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Offering our invocation tonight is Pastor Joe Lauderdale of Living Grace Church.
Pray with me. Father, we are thankful that you have chosen to use us in service to our fellow man, God, that we each have a part to play in this community and that our hearts are here. Lord, I just pray for supernatural wisdom. I pray for divine retention, Lord, and that you would just bless every decision, be a part of every decision as you help make Woodford County be the best county in the nation. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we go to public comment, I wanted to honor a great Woodford Countyan, Mr. Ted Bassett, passed away at 103 years old. He had a long list of very important accomplishments, including being a Marine, a United States Marine. He was awarded 2 Purple Hearts, the Presidential Unit Citation, and other awards for his valor and service to our country, and then his commitment to the horse industry in Kentucky. And finally, as the Commissioner of Public Safety and the head of the state police in Kentucky. Mr. Bassett was a Woodford Countyan for many, many years of his life. He loved this county. He loved Kentucky. And tonight we honor the great Ted Bassett upon his passing. If you would, a moment of silence for the Bassett family. Amen. Thank you all for that indulgence. We honored Mr. Bassett each year with a Ted Bassett Day in Woodford County. I know they did that in the city of Lexington as well. I'd like to open up the floor for public comment. Anybody wishing to address the court or the public is welcomed. Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the regular meeting minutes for January 14th. Are there any questions or comments about any of the minutes? Seeing none, are there any objections to approving the minutes as presented? Also seeing none, I'll approve the minutes without objection. Moving on to committee reports. The Ordinance Committee met prior to this meeting and discussed the proposed text amendment for Articles 2 and 7 of our zoning ordinances. This is the second part of an Ordinance Committee discussion of the full text amendment. I want to thank Director Steve Hunter, GIS and Mapping Director Kenneth Johns for their work in helping prepare the court and to understand all of the information and potential changes of the text amendment. The Ordinance Committee made a decision, a unanimous recommendation, to recommend to the Fiscal Court to have the county attorney go ahead and draft the text amendment into an ordinance. That doesn't mean that it has to be acted upon, but it cannot be acted upon without that step. And therefore, that recommendation is before the Fiscal Court, and I would entertain a motion to adopt same.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Gill.
Second.
Second by Squire Blackford. I'd open up the floor for any discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the recommendation of the Ordinance Committee, please vote and signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay.
Aye.
Let the record reflect one nay vote, and the recommendation of the committee passes, Mr. County Attorney.
I will have that ready for the court at the next meeting. And it will simply be what you already have, so if you don't have in advance, it's going to be this.
And Madam Clerk, I'll just go ahead and say, because this is an important piece of legislation, that once we have that drafted, we'll post it on our website as well. So in addition to that discussion, we also discussed the procedural steps that we were planning to take. We're going to schedule a public hearing for 4:30 p.m. on the second Tuesday of February prior to our next fiscal court meeting. That is a public comment period for discussion on the proposed text amendment. And again, we discussed this in detail in the ordinance committee, but that discussion is for the public comment. It's not for engaging fiscal court members or even Director Hunter and his staff. They're available at all times to be communicated with. But we are seeking public input and comment regarding that text amendment. I'd also say that our emails are always open. All of our magistrates in each district are always available to speak with their constituents on any matter, but specifically a matter of pending legislation. We have an info@woodfordcountyky.gov general email that emails can be sent regarding public input to be on the record. And you can always call, email, or communicate with any of our magistrates or myself at any time about pending legislation, specifically this ordinance that we've been discussing.
Question.
Yes,
Um,
Squire Gentry.
Did you say that was the second Tuesday or
Excuse
second
me.
meeting?
First Tuesday, the second Tuesday, the first meeting
Thank
in
you.
February. I hope I said that correctly. Thank you for the clarification, Squire Gentry. Any other questions or comments regarding the action of the ordinance committee? Seeing none, we'll move on to reports. I'm going to move the county clerk up to the top so that we can dispense with your business, Madam County Clerk. If you wouldn't mind turning your mic on, please.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Do you want me to go with my report, or are we going to talk about my quarterly first?
That's your discretion, whatever you prefer.
Okay. If you'd like to go with the quarterly first, that'd be fine with me.
All right. I think we can probably go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the county clerk's quarterly report for the quarter ending December 31, 24, as presented. Motion by Squire Varner, second by Squire Gill. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving same, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Your quarterly court report is approved.
Thank you so much. This evening, I'd like to bring before you something that has been very near and dear to me. This is the Yellow Dot program. I don't know if any of you all remember this or not. It's a life-saving program that Woodford County has used in the past. First responders remember this. I'm ready and willing and able to do anything that I can to implement this back in Woodford County. Last week, WLEX had a segment that Scott County has already introduced this and put it back out again. In October of 2015, when I came into office, Governor Beshear had launched this program. It improves the emergency care. It's a tool that Freeman and I have talked about, and he said that, you know, this has helped many times with vehicle crashes because this yellow circular dot that you see here, they take this and put it on the back window, and first responders or law enforcement come up on this accident, and they see that this tells them that there's an informational brochure that's inside of the glove box for them. And in this information, they have their emergency contacts, their medicines, hospital procedures that they've recently had, any medical conditions, allergies, and their contact information. Since I would like to ask your blessings on this before we move forward, I would like to tell you that I'm willing to put it out there on social media. Scott White and I have already talked about it, and we'd like to do an announcement if I could have your approval on this. If you'd like to see one, you're more than welcome to. These are the last ones in Woodford County. You can't get them anymore. So when this program went away, I had contacted the state many times, and they just weren't interested in bringing it back out. So right now, University of Louisville has this through their autism training program. That I think that the big reason that this has been a hit through U of L is because at this point on our vehicle registrations, we're able to indicate that a person has a deaf disability, hearing disability, if they can come up on them and know then that maybe this is their way, since we're not able to alert people of autism, this is their way of getting out there to help them and that segment of the population as well. So if you'd like to think about it or whatever, make a vote later, that's up to you. But I'd like to introduce this program and see if we could bring it forward. And Freeman, if you'd like to add anything to that, you're more than welcome to.
Director Bailey?
Yeah, the program's a really good asset to any first responder on the scene of an accident. But seeing it's the same thing as the Vial Life. If you all remember the Vial Life years ago, you would have a sticker on your door or your window at the house, and you'd go to your refrigerator and open it up. In the freezer, there would be the little vial that have all your medical data. The nice thing about these programs here, it doesn't have any more pertinent information in it than what's already on your registration. So it doesn't have your personal information like your social security number, things like that. It has a point of contact, somebody that we can reach out to let them know that you've had an incident, that we're with you, working with you. Medical history, it helps us get that. A lot of people have it on their phones now, but the problem is everybody has a password on their phone. So it kind of eliminates us being able to get that access. So the program, Sandy called me about it. We've talked about it several times, but called me today and she said she finally tracked down who was reinitiating this program. And I told her I thought it was a great thing. It's just a little yellow dot on the back of your window. And, you know, unless you're a part of the program or know it, you don't really know what it is.
Thank you, Director Bailey. And Madam Clerk, we talked about this in our leadership meeting today, and is the program ongoing? Will we be doing it as an outlier, or is it connected to the overall statewide, nationwide program?
I'm hoping that it will be brought about again to be a statewide program. When Governor Beshear brought it out in 2015, at that point, we had Kentucky Hospital Association, the Highway Association. There were a lot of different parties in there that brought it out at that point. But I'm hoping that Scott County, the exposure that they have and what we have, that, you know, we can get it out there again. We have a lot of foot traffic. We still have people asking for these, so I know that it would be a problem being the distributor in my office, either both of our offices, to get these out there.
And do you anticipate any expense associated with
No.
any of this?
No, U of L gives us everything. It's just a matter of getting it out there so everybody will realize that it is alive, and this is why you see yellow dots on the back of people's car windows.
Well, we appreciate your advocacy and your support for this program. Is there a motion from the fiscal court to support the county clerk's implementation of this program? Motion by Squire Brown, second by Squire Taylor.
Yes.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Is that all the business you have before us, Madam Clerk?
It is.
Well, you are more than welcome to be excused.
Thank you.
Thank you. Freeman, you also need to be excused? Well, then you may be excused, unless you have any report for the court.
No, nothing tonight.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for being here for that. Thank you. All right. I'd like to move on to our treasurer's report. Madam Treasurer.
Tonight's balance is $15,593,470.25. It is tax time, so we'll be seeing a lot of mail come in the next few weeks. Also, I wanted to remind you all that there's a budget workshop on February 13th in Frankfurt if anyone's interested in going. And that's it. The audit has started, so if I may be reaching out for different things depending on what they need from us.
Including the initial magistrate questionnaire for the audit that you will all receive.
Everyone has actually returned those to me already, so we're good to go.
On top of it. Thank you all. Let me just say that in addition to all the tax work that's going on right now, the business one stop for the county and the city is up. And we're actually seeing people pay their taxes through that for the first time. So it's already working, and we haven't even fully done the rollout. But I really want to commend Madam Treasurer on that work. Also, we're looking at rolling out our new website, which our court clerk has worked so hard and diligently on, and it's going to be a much better product that will be more useful to our citizens and have a lot more transparency, openness, and access to all of our county government work through that website. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Madam Treasurer. I'd like to ask Director of Emergency Management, Mr. Drew Chandler, for his report.
Thank you, Judge. I have one item for the court this evening. That is a contract with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Division of Emergency Management. This is the recurring emergency management performance grant where we receive reimbursement. We usually claim salary expenses for meeting the milestones prescribed in the agreement for emergency operations plan updates, going to their quarterly meetings, and a host of other requirements. It is a reduced amount from prior years. That's not, it's nothing we did. The federal preparedness grants as a whole took a massive cut, and that trickles down to us. They did, however, give us some additional money in the prior federal fiscal year to help offset that reduction, but they've got a new calculation based off the available funds. So I do want to be transparent that there is a reduction from prior years.
We appreciate that, Director Chandler, and we need a motion to approve that memorandum of agreement between the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Military Affairs, Division of Emergency Management, the Fiscal Court, for the Emergency Management Performance Grant.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Taylor, second by Squire Gill. Seeing no questions, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Judge, that's all I had this evening, unless you or the court members had something for me.
No, thank you, Director Chandler. I appreciate all your hard work. January has been quite a month for everybody, but particularly you, and we appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir. Maintenance, Director Wade, I can take care of this for you if you'd like. We need to surplus a 2004 Ford 50 crew cab and other supplies as listed in the surplus request for the Woodford County Maintenance Department for sales as applicable on Gov Deals. Is there a motion to surplus same?
Motion.
Motion by Squire Blackford, second by Squire Gentry. Seeing no questions, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the motion carries. Speaking of the January coming in like a lion, I really want to thank Rick Wade, Rick Hartley, Jerry Cornett, and our maintenance team for dealing with major issues and reoccurring issues. We had the water main break on Court Street, had to close the courthouse due to having no water, and we had water running everywhere. Court Street in the annex, it was a big deal. But the people of Woodford County and everybody who works in this building should be glad that Rick Wade's always on top of it, because he always is and did a great job for us. Thank you, Director Wade. I have a report. The discussions with the Woodford County Fair Board have moved forward, and I appreciate Squire Darrell Varner for working on those negotiations, and we have a basic framework for the draft of the Fair Board lease. So I need a motion to authorize the county attorney to begin that draft of the renegotiated Fair Board lease.
So moved.
Squire Varner, second by Squire Brown. Is there any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries. Does any other department or agency have a report for the court? Seeing none, we'll move on to the general orders and unfinished business. The claims, the bills to be paid by this court are before you. Are there any questions or comments on any of the bills to be paid? Are there any objections to any of the bills to be paid? Seeing no objections, I'll approve the bills to be paid without objection. And before I move on with further claims, Director McDaniel, you did have a report for the court. I'm going to turn on your mic there, please.
Sure. We got a call today that our Bobcat is ready. And you know, we took a vote and you guys voted that we could do this repair. At the time, it was a $12,500 repair. They called today and told Scott it was ready, but that it exceeded our credit limit, so we had to have a check in hand to pick it up. Scott said, okay, how much? At that point, he said $13,553. So Scott was like, that's, about $1,000 higher. And he said, well, in the email and the quote, it always says it could be up to 10% higher. So you all approved the repair at $12,500, and it is $13,553. So we do need to get that approved and try to get a check in hand and go pick our Bobcat up.
And so last meeting, we ratified the email approval of the Bobcat Enterprise repair work for the Recycling Center's Bobcat. That claim is now before this court in the amount of $13,553. And Alan is noting that it's more than 10% because he's not only a lawyer, but he's good at math. They have something to encourage us to pay that invoice. That is our Bobcat.
Yes. It doesn't give me so much heartburn because this was, we basically got this for free. It was a grant. I know that's a lot of money, but, we've got a $35,000 piece of equipment that was given to us basically for our, for time that we've used it. So, if that helps. I didn't think it was, but I wasn't going to correct your math, sir. But
now that's more lawyer like I am.
But it's a very nice Bobcat. So.
And it was in the repairs were absolutely needed. Okay.
Yes.
So we have a claim for Bobcat Enterprises in the amount of $13,553. Is there any cents upon that?
Yeah, 27 cents.
27 cents, excuse me.
And they have a pretty extensive narrative at what all they did to it. So,
so we have before us a claim to be paid in the amount of $13,553.27 for the repair of the Woodford County Recycling Center's Bobcat. I need a motion to approve that claim. Motion by Squire Brown. Second by Squire Gill. I'd open up the floor for any discussions or questions for the director. Seeing none, all those in favor of paying said claim, the invoice as presented, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please vote and signify by saying nay. And the motion carries. We also need to approve a transfer in that amount. $13,553.27. Is there a motion to approve the transfer for same?
Had she already approved the 12.5 last time?
That's correct.
Yeah, I think 12.5 was approved for transfer. Yeah.
Transfer the additional amount.
Okay.
Well, we'll just do a code since the transfer has not occurred. We'll do a total and complete transfer of the full claim amount.
Okay.
Is there a motion for approval of same? Motion by Squire Taylor, second by Squire Brown. All those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director McDaniel. Continuing on our claims, we need to ratify the January 21st, 2025 email approval of the claims of the Visa in the amount of $93.78 and the PNC National Bank amount in $7,411.36. We also need to approve the PNC Bank amount of $164.92. And that is using Sheriff's Office asset forfeiture funds. Is there a motion to ratify same? Motion by Squire Taylor. Second by Squire Gentry. Are there any questions on the ratification vote? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries. We need to approve the claim for Cover Track Group, Inc. in the amount of $1,200 for the Sheriff's Office using the same asset forfeiture funds as mentioned. Motion by Squire Gentry, second by Squire Varner. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries. We need to approve the transfers as presented. Is there a motion for same? Motion by Squire Brown, second by Squire Gill. All those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The transfers are approved. I need a motion to approve the personnel order for this evening.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Gentry, second by Squire Blackford. Are there any questions on the personnel order? I would just like to welcome, assuming this vote is approved, our new intern, Maya Tonga from Woodford County High School. All those in favor of the motion to approve the personnel order, please vote and signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. And the motion carries. A couple items that we've had on the unfinished business to ensure that we always have the ability to act on them are our Millville Sewer Project. As of January 27th, we were waiting on the ad to hear back from the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority's attorneys to discuss the procurement process for the project, and we may have some action items therefrom. But there's nothing to act on this evening. But the Millville Sewer Project, as appropriated by the General Assembly, is moving forward. The Millville Waterline Project, which was a Cleaner Water Grant Fund, is also moving forward. And while we don't have any action on that tonight, it is moving forward in a good direction.
Judge,
Yes.
I
Squire
did talk
Gentry.
with Kentucky Engineering Group, and they're still in the engineering phase, and I also talked with the Frankfurt Plant Board. They're looking into updating 2 of the current pump stations to use in that project. So that's the update I got on it.
Thank you for that update, Squire Gentry. We appreciate that. And just so folks know, the Millville Waterline Project for that area is moving forward, and that's a good update that the engineering is still undergoing its process. The Woodford Reserve Road, the McCracken Pike Safety proposal, which was also a General Assembly project. You'll have before you the agreement for the reimbursement of the right-of-way acquisition costs. Again, they're anticipating that there's up to $300,000 of potential cost of right-of-way acquisition for the McCracken Pike Road. The county attorney and myself have reviewed this red line document that you have before you, and it appears to be in order for approval from the full fiscal court. The one thing that I would note is that we also have an agreement between the county and the Department of Highways, Transportation Cabinet. This document references that KYTC contract, which we will also need to approve. So in order to get this project going, we must first approve the agreement for reimbursement of right-of-way acquisition costs between the Woodford County Fiscal Court and the Brown-Forman Corporation as presented, contingent upon final approval and sign-off by the county attorney and judge executive.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Gentry.
Second.
Second by Squire Blackford. I'd open up the floor for any questions or discussion regarding the agreement per se.
Judge,
Squire Taylor, you're recognized.
I know that our wise counsel would not leave us open to any liability, but I was just curious about the removal of the hold harmless language, the hold harmless language, if there was any.
Because there really isn't there really,
Go ahead, Mr. County.
there really isn't an issue here. The only question is going to be, what is the cost to acquire the right-of-way property, and it's up to $300,000. So there really isn't a concern that there could be any need or use or worry about a hold harmless clause. We're going to find out what it costs. Their commitment is up to $300,000, and that's it.
Okay.
And Squire Taylor, I would also add that the reason that is being struck isn't because it's a provision that we didn't foresee that we need. It's because this was based on a template.
Yeah.
And it's unnecessary to include it in there. And I'm in concurrence with the county attorney on that point.
I think that's a good point. You shouldn't have seen it to begin with to wonder why they're being struck. So yes.
Yeah, we sent them, they needed a template for their attorneys to work off of, and we sent them a basic one from the highway department. So yes, but good question. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, there's a motion to approve the agreement. All those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the motion carries. We must also then approve the agreement between the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and the Fiscal Court regarding the right-of-way acquisition. You all have had that for some time now. Does anybody need to reference that back? If not, is there a motion to approve, same?
Motion.
There's a motion by Squire Gentry, second by Squire Varner. Being no questions or additional discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the motion carries. And the county attorney and I will always reserve the right, if there's a discrepancy in any of the language or any of the contracts that we've approved, before we execute those, we'll always give a review and come back to the court if needed. But I don't anticipate that. And so that will move forward the legislature's project to create a safer turn on McCracken Pike at Woodford Reserve Distillery, so that folks would no longer have to cross the roadway to go from the visitor center to the main distillery area. And that's a much needed safety improvement project. Squire Gentry. I'd like to give an update on the Young and New Farmer Grant Program. Our screening committee, Robert Richardson, Vernon Leach, and Lynn Pruitt, met on Friday, and they gave an initial review and approval of applicants to the Young and New Farmer Grant Program. We are working on a contract certification that each grant recipient will need to approve before they receive the grant funding. So you'll have that to act on by our next meeting. Additionally, there were some questions upon some of the applications and some of those that are grant recipients that the screening committee had, but referred to us as the fiscal court. I want to make a couple things clear. Is number one, I really appreciate the screening committee and their work. The second thing is that their decision is not final. It's the decision of the full fiscal court. And these are important decisions that can only be made by us. So it doesn't mean that the list that you received of the recommended approvals will be the final approval. Those would also remain confidential as they are in working form. However, those grant recipients will be public once those decisions are made, which I anticipate that we can do at our next meeting. So again, thanks to our screening committee. Are there any questions about the Young and New Farmer Grant Program?
Judge, if I may.
Yes, Mr. County Attorney, sir.
I think it's important to note what you pointed out to me in our pre-meeting, that when we say young, that's young adult, because there will be contracts that will have to be entered into, and only an adult, an 18-year-old or older person can enter into that. So young but not very young farmer. So that's what it is. Okay.
Yes, young but not minor child farmers. However, I think maybe we might have some of those. But again, can't enter into a contract with someone who is a minor in Kentucky. I'd move on to the proposed first reading of ordinance 2025-01, the zoning map amendment for 720 Delaney Ferry Road. We need a motion to have the first reading of that ordinance. Is there a motion for same?
Motion.
Motion by Squire Blackford.
Second.
Second by Squire Gill. I'd open up the floor for any discussion thereon. Seeing none. All those in favor of having the first reading of ordinance 2025-01, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the motion carries. Mr. County Attorney.
Yes, Judge, this will be a summary reading of the ordinance relating to a zoning map amendment preliminary development plan for Travis and Alex Appleby, 720 Delaney Ferry Road, R1BA1 to A4 district. The Planning Commission having recommended that zoning map amendment be approved, this court having reviewed the record and determining that it is compliant with comprehensive plan by your vote tonight, voting to accept that recommendation and approve the requested zone change based upon that summary of evidence and findings of fact. The subject property contains 3.8 acres and is rezoned from R1B A1 to A4. So this being a first reading, we do need to advertise it in summary form for second reading at your February 25th meeting.
Thank you, Mr. County Attorney.
Thank you, Judge.
We also need to have the proposed first reading, if it's the will of the court, for the ordinance 2025-02 zoning map amendment for Cummins Ferry Road.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Gentry, second by Squire Brown. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the fiscal court having the first reading of ordinance 2025-02 zoning map amendment for 3081 and 3151 Cummins Ferry Road, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Mr. County Attorney, sir.
Yes, thank you, Judge. This would also be a summary reading of that ordinance relating to the zoning map amendment preliminary plat, final record plat for Transition Range LLC, 3081 and 3151 Cummins Ferry Road, A1 to A4 District. Planning Commission having recommended that that be approved, this fiscal court reviewing that record and determining that you should accept the recommendation of the commission and approve it based upon the summary of evidence and findings of fact recommendation presented to you. Be it ordained by the fiscal court that this subject property contains 62.017 acres and should be rezoned from A1 to A4. This being a first reading, it also needs to be advertised for second reading, which would also occur at your February 25th second meeting in the month of February.
Thank you, Mr. County Attorney.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm moving on to new business. We need to discuss the electrical inspector agreement. Under our ordinance, it's our requirement to contract for that service. Presently, we're under a contract with Mr. James McLean of Midway, Kentucky, as our electrical inspector for the county. We need to revisit that contract because it has been going for some time now, and at this point, it is on a month-to-month basis. Mr. McLean is still our electrical inspector. But there has been a request to see if that could be re-quoted as we would other agreements. And so, upon discussion with the county attorney, we would request that those interested in becoming the electrical inspector to send us a quote of their proposed work and product for fees for electrical inspections for the county. Obviously, Mr. McLean can also reapply as well, and we will take that issue up in February, either the first or second meeting, depending on probably the second meeting, giving folks at least a month to submit any qualifications and requirements. Yes, sir, Mr. County Attorney.
For those unfamiliar with it, and I can understand why you would be since you have not had to take this up, statute says that the fiscal court shall appoint a certified electrical inspector. And you may by ordinance fix the fees and establish any other requirements. The last contract we had, as the judge pointed out, actually goes back to 2017. It basically was for 4 years and has not been followed up on. There are some interesting provisions in this, and are we going to send this to the court members? What I sent? You'll see when you get this, for example, there is like a standby electrical inspector in the event of the absence of the electrical inspector. Statute says you may fix the compensation, but you don't pay. What you do is allow them to have a fee schedule which serves as their compensation. So it's not like you pay for it. They get paid by virtue of the work they do. So I just wanted to point those things out so that when you have to consider this, you're aware of that.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. County Attorney, because that's what we will request from anyone who is seeking for that application, is to provide us that information that you've just set forth there. Any questions or comments regarding the electrical inspection agreement? That I would entertain a motion to approve that to go out for accepting quotes and to put an advertisement in the paper.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Taylor.
Second.
Second by Squire Gentry. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. We need to approve the sheriff's quarterly report for December 31st, 2024, as we did for the county clerk. Is there a motion to approve same? Motion by Squire Gill, second by Squire Brown. Seeing no questions, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, is that the total sum of our business this evening? That seems to be it. I'll move on to announcements. I'll start out with Zoom. Squire Downey.
Thank you, Judge. Just a reminder that the legislative day in Frankfurt for the magistrates and commissioners will be Wednesday, February 12th. I've gone ahead and reached out to Senator Bledsoe, and she has agreed to meet with us that morning. Once I get a time from her, I will let the court members know. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Squire Downey. Squire Blackford.
Yes, Judge. The Huntertown Community Interpreters Park is with the library is honoring Black History Heritage Series of 2025. And on February the 10th, Dr. Kathy Bullock from Berea College, Singing in the Spirit, African American Sacred Business Tradition. She'll be at the library on Monday, February the 10th at 6 p.m. And we're going to have others in March and April 1. So it's a series.
Thank you. Thank you, Squire Blackford. And we'll make sure to promote that as well. Thank you. Squire Gill.
Squire Downey mentioned the legislative training day. This will be the last time the Capitol is going to be closed for an extended period. So this legislative session is your last chance to go there for probably 3 years.
Whoa.
It's going to be closed. So if you want to see that beautiful building, you better go. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Squire Gill. Squire Brown. Thank you. Squire Taylor.
Nothing, Judge. Thanks.
Squire Gentry.
Nothing, thank you.
Squire Varner, sir.
Nothing, Judge. Thanks.
Mr. County Attorney, sir.
No, thank you, Judge.
The Woodford Sun.
Go Jackets, go Cats.
Here, here. I echo those sentiments.
Go Pioneers.
Hey, there we go. Again, I think it's very, very important that folks follow this planning and zoning discussion. There is a comprehensive plan meeting on Thursday. The new mayor of the city of Versailles will be there to weigh in on the first comprehensive plan meeting of her term. And we look forward to that. Thanks for everybody for all your hard work, particularly the second floor team. Thank you all. We are adjourned.